What's going on, everybody? Curtis Wilkerson here with Inside Arkansas on the Pod at the Palace, coming to you with our daily Hoop Hogs video series. Arkansas grinds out a road win against Miami. Was not pretty, was not emphatic. Usually isn't at this stage of the season for teams in the situation that Arkansas is in right now. The question, though, is what can you take from this moving forward, right? How can this catapult the Razorbacks into something different? Did it bring them together? Sometimes you got to just go grind one out, on the road and rally the way Arkansas did to really get that continuity and that chemistry and that buy-in. Doesn't mean the guys don't like each other before that, but there's something to be said about the mesh that comes when you go into somebody else's building and have to rally together the way Arkansas did to win one, regardless of how good the competition is. There's something to that. So is it a springboard? What did we see in this game that maybe we want to see more of moving forward? I think for me, one thing that stood out and the topic that I want to talk about today, Arkansas's full backcourt trio kind of finally playing to its potential, right? Especially in the second half of this game. Did that flip the switch for these guards? Because if so, I feel a lot more optimistic about where this thing could be headed for Arkansas. If they fall back into some old habits, clearly they still got quite a bit of work to do, but it was definitely encouraging what we saw, right? Everybody ate. It looked more in sync. It didn't have the odd man out vibes in there with, Johnell Davis just parked in the corner and everything going to one side of the floor opposite of him. We didn't have all that. And so I think that was a big positive. Boogie, Nelly, DJ, they combined for 30 of Arkansas's 44 points, 8 of their 10 assists, and 4 of their 5 steals in the second half. So that trio really kind of took over the game on both ends of the floor. And then you got some great supplemental stuff elsewhere, right? I mean, Big Z was knocking down some three-pointers in there. You had Adu Thero making some plays at various points, but those guards were kind of the head of the snake in this game. When it was all was said and done, 44 total points between the three of them, and they accounted for 8 of Arkansas's 11 threes. So that was good to see, too. It's kind of interesting because I kind of go back and see a bunch of the old tweets from the game, in the For You section or whatever on Twitter. And some of it's revisionist history. Like, you got to look on at the timestamps to kind of take into context when this was coming out. But a lot of people were saying, this team can't guard the three. This team can't shoot the three. They're freaking out. Well, for a large portion of the game, I was feeling the same way. But then you look up at the end of the night, Miami's 9 of 29. So 9 makes is probably more than you want to give up, but they only shoot 31% from three. You take that. Okay? So some good adjustments made. They were really good there in the second half, aside from a couple missed assignments. So working on the ball screen defense to avoid some of those open looks will be important. Picking guys up in transition. Yeah, still got to work on it. Wasn't that bad. But Arkansas can't shoot. They went 11 for 23 in the game. How many times did Eric Musselman's teams go 11 for 23 from three in recent seasons? Now you look up, and Arkansas is top 5 in the SEC in three-point percentage, and they finally done it against a power conference team. And when you have your 3 guards, because Big Z's been doing a lot of the heavy lifting, right, from 3. And when you have your backcourt trio who combines for 8 of the 11, that's a really, really positive sign, an encouraging sign. Boogie, obviously led the charge with this one, had the bounce back game after the sluggish one against Illinois, and he emerged in this one as the closer down the stretch for Arkansas. Okay, great. Job well done. He put the team on his back, willed them to a win. Big time stuff from the freshman, but he led the team in scoring at 18 points, and he also dished out 6 assists in this game. So he's doing a nice job of finding a balance between, hey, when the team needs a bucket, I got to go get it. But he also understands that he needs to get everybody involved. And it wasn't just the assist number that stood out to me in this one. I thought Arkansas did a much better job of getting Johnell Davis touches, right? And Cal said afterwards, like, this is an emphasis. We're trying to get him the ball. We're trying to get him the ball in his spots. We're trying to figure him out. He's still trying to figure us out. It's still a work in progress, okay? But it was good. And those touches didn't always correlate to shots, right? But he was noticeably, in my opinion, more involved, right? And then you could see the competitor in him start to shine in the second half. There was one point there where DJ had to come out. He was a little bit banged up. And I put out there like, hey, this is the time that Nelly's got to get aggressive. And he did. And he started hunting his shot more. So that was good to see. In that second half, he scored 11 of his 12 points. He hit 3 threes. Big stuff for Arkansas there. He is capable of doing that at any time he chooses to. He is. And that's what's been so frustrating for me about it when I've continued to say, No, he's not a bust. No, he's not overwhelmed by the competition here. Yes, everybody relax. He's got it in him. He needs to be a guy. He can't be a role player because I know what the dude is capable of. And now that he's shown it in a game like this, there are no more excuses, brother. Like, you got to keep it going, right? At the end of the day, only 7 shots in this game. I want to see that at 10 or higher for Johnell Davis on a nightly basis. But as far as second halves are concerned, really, really good, right? And then you got DJ Wagner. He settled into the game, was a little up and down early on there, but then all of a sudden, he was like the best version of himself, I thought. And when have we seen Johnell Davis and DJ Wagner both have strong games on the same night? A lot of people were saying, hey, these guys can't play with each other. It's not going to work. They both can't thrive in this system. They can't share the floor together. And, if you look at the first 7 games or whatever, there are times where you could look at that and say, man, maybe they're onto something. It's going to take time for him to figure that out. And this was a step in the right direction. DJ looked good, man. He wasn't forcing the issue. Was really picking his spots to get downhill, as opposed to when he gets in trouble, he just drives into a wall of defending jerseys, leaves his feet, turns it over. He limited that stuff, and he was really selective. And I thought played quite well. Finishes the game with 14 points, 50% shooting from the floor, 5 assists, and just 1 turnover. Okay, there you go. So you look up at the end of the night, Boogie's got 18. You get a dozen from Nelly. You get 14 out of DJ. Great, right? Great. We have not seen an instance against a Power 5 team, a high major program, where all 3 of these guys have played well on the same night. Now we have. Okay, now we have. That's good. They combined for over half of Arkansas's point total. Great. I think the first 90 seconds of the second half are exactly what you want to see more consistently. You want to see more of from Arkansas, particularly on the offensive end of the floor. Think about it. As bad as that first half was, like Cal said, hey, I was thankful we were down 8 because it could have been 20. And that's true, man. They did not play well at all in that first half, but they figured it out, refocused, regrouped. You come out in the second half, your first set in the half court, you run it to perfection. Boogie swings it to the left side. DJ gets a wide open, rhythm 3-pointer. Bang, knocks it down. Next possession, you come down the floor. Boogie takes a 3 of his own, misses. Okay, that's fine. But then you get a steal. They get the outlet to Boogie. He gets it immediately up the floor to Johnell Davis for a transition 3 in rhythm. Boom. There you go. 90 seconds. That's what you got. And so, okay, everybody gets a shot in the backcourt within the first 3 possessions. And the dude who missed his shot assisted on the other 2 makes. That is winning basketball. And that's what Arkansas needs more of there. So I'm going to be really, really interested to see how they can parlay this moving forward, because, Adu Thero is still going to be like, I'm not saying that these 3 guys have to be your 3 best players. I'm just saying they have to be able to coexist, have chemistry, have flow, have rhythm, and all be capable of having good performances at the same time. Okay. Cause Thero is still going to be a dude for you. He was off against Miami with 3 of 10 from the field. I think that's going to be an aberration for him. He'll get going. Big Z is going to continue to hit 3s for you. You're still figuring some things out in the front court. Where can we best use Trevin Brazil? How healthy are we going to be able to get Jonas Adu as we continue to ramp up his minutes? He's played double-digit minutes in the last couple games. Still trying to figure out a lot of things there, but you need something that you can really lean on, I think, right now, and that could be the strength of what you got going on with that backcourt. So I'm going to be really, really interested to see how it plays out. I like some of the things they were doing. If you noticed, listen, like Cal, he'll make some adjustments now, sneaky. People say he can't coach, but I thought he was doing some good things. Where does Arkansas get a lot of their shooting from? At times it can come from Big Z. Trevin is a guy capable of doing that as well. And what you were seeing is they were floating those guys out to the corner instead of settling for so much pick and pop action that they were having a little bit of trouble with, because that is something that can be there when teams are doubling ball screens the way that Miami was. They were really trapping hard off of that. Sometimes it's tricky to get that reversal. Sometimes you got to be careful about the jump man if you're reversing it, because it can be a steal and a transition finish on the other end. And so what they started doing was putting Adu Thero in those ball screens and those middle pick and rolls, which was good, because then if you reverse it, you got it in the hands of another ball handler who can kind of create and make plays with an advantageous number. And then you had your shooters there in the corner. That was just a subtle adjustment that I saw where I was like, oh, okay, Cal, I see you. They ran a baseline inbounds play and got a corner 3 out of it. I mean, that's not something I expected to see necessarily in this game. So this team has a lot to work on, no doubt about it. They're still behind where I expect them to be. Cal said afterwards, "Hey, we're not as good as I thought we would be at this point." Don't give up on this group though, because quietly as they're figuring things out, you're seeing some of those subtle things that tell you that this might start trending in the right direction. And then you see flashes of the potential this team has, like when you get that backcourt going. So we'll continue to keep an eye on it. We'll probably talk a little bit more about the front court tomorrow. And then obviously Arkansas returns home on Saturday against a UTSA team that has some high major talent and has been up and down this year, but it's going to be a Saturday in Bud Walton Arena. Should be a pretty rowdy crowd in there, and I'm looking forward to it. But we'll be back in the morning. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. As always, it's been Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas and the Pod at the Palace. We'll see you later.